Well, recently I did a video on North Korea and South Korea, the Korean War in fact, and I highlighted on the fact that the number 135,000 showed straight away that it was in sync with Hiroshima and Chernobyl and even the Civil War in America, that they liked that number. There are other things that I highlighted there, not in great detail, and I'm going to do more on the Korean War, showing that it was a staged event, an event of bringing manpower into the peninsula, get infrastructure built, and this is what my point in this video is, which I'm going to be looking at Russia and Germany in World War II, the so-called World War II, and what really went on there. So what were the benefits of the war? That's what you can look at. Masons love benefits. Things have got to bring in money. They've got to open up new territory to exploitation. Now you see, before 1939, the average Russian had no inclination to go out into these areas here. And nice here at home, and it's going to take a lot to get people to go over here and open it all up on the other side of the Urals. So what do? We bring a whole lot of German troops over here, and we put a whole lot of Russian troops on the border here opposing them. Actually, there were vast numbers of Russian troops. Then the Germans hop over the top, more or less, and trap all these guys. Now these guys simply sign a new piece of paper and become sort of labour force for the German thing, which is carrying out all sorts of infrastructure products in this area, and all sorts of extra new works in this area and reviving it up, because don't forget, this is a very old area of Europe. At the same time, all the Russians are now panicking, so big new ideas come all over here. And so a whole lot of Russians volunteer to go to the other side of the Urals, some fleeing for their lives, you might say, all in the mind game. And then US Lend-Lease is brought up, and then we have all of this now. Look at all these nice railways all through here that weren't there before, you'll find. And this is what I'm going to look into in this series of videos on this issue, and just see about these railways. And that's exactly what you'll find. Before World War II, we had very few. We had this one that the British had built all the way along here, the one, and it's still only one today. Look at this vast area. So no wonder we need our hopes again. This is what I've always said. This is the big new prize. And so how do we get people into there? Well, we're going to have some of the hopes up, haven't we? And even this northern area of China. So no wonder Korea is sort of important in the story. All the stories that go around. But yes, you can see what I mean here. So you force Russians over to here, they build up infrastructure there, you've got a whole lot of Germans building infrastructure here, then you blow the whistles on the Germans, and then the Russians come and they do a whole lot of extra stuff over here in the next 10 years. So at the end of since 39 to by 1955, this whole area has a whole lot of new infrastructure. And infrastructure it never had before as a result of those wars, the hoax wars. And that is the most plausible idea to do with this war, because it has to have a benefit, and that's the benefit that's there in your face. But it needs more. Just to double check all this, we're going to look at all these things and exactly what went on. I've watched all old Lend-Lease stuff before, and I thought this is fascinating, them bringing all this stuff up here into Russia. Yes, well then we know that this area did open up in the 50s and 60s and 70s. All a bit on the quiet. You know, in the West we had the perception that we never see anything that's taken from here in our home. But I'd say there was a little backdoor system with all this stuff, because we weren't meant to be buying off the Iron Curtain. But that possibly lowered the price. Everything's economic, and that's, I think we all should start really looking into the economic ideas with war. I had a friend years ago who used to always carry on about how food was the main thing. And I really wish he was here now just to talk to, because he had some good ideas on these sort of ideas. And if I showed him where I'd moved the bar to at this stage, he'd be right there for sure. He'd go, oh, and be working on it. And that's what we need. People looking at this idea of economic warfare. War being a hoax, but we have to have plausibility. To have a reason. Especially to sell it to the average punter, because they'll say, oh, that's just farcical. If you can show them some reasons of how it could work, then they suddenly go, oh, I didn't think of that angle. And it's a definitely good angle, isn't it? Infrastructure here built by Germans, infrastructure here built by Russians. But the bad side of the course is the people who lived here get the short end of the stick, don't they? So there are people who don't get the best deal out of all this. But of course the Masons don't care, they only worship money. Cheers everyone.